Trauma Therapist Podcast Plus listeners can listen to episodes early and ad-free right now. Become a Plus listener by going to Apple Podcasts, searching for the Trauma Therapist Podcast, and signing up today. Welcome to the Trauma Therapist Podcast, a show about the incredible people dedicated to helping those who have experienced trauma. My name is Guy McPherson, and my mission is to raise the awareness of trauma and to inspire each of us to help those around us. All right, Ann, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. So
Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, folks, welcome back to the podcast. Very excited to have as my guest today, Ann McSweeney, and welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Guy. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. So Ann is a licensed clinical social worker and the founder of CEU Creations, a premier provider of live synchronous training for helping professionals. With over 2 decades of experience in social work and continuing education, Ann is dedicated to empowering professionals with the tools they need to enhance their practice and support their clients. She's proud to collaborate with CE for Less, a leading platform for accessible text-based continuing education. And her passion for advancing the field of mental health drives her commitment to providing accessible, high-quality learning experiences that empower practitioners to better serve their clients and communities. All right. Awesome, Ann. Thanks so much for being here. Before we get going, share with our listeners where you're from originally and where you are currently.
So thanks. I'm originally from actually New Jersey. I lived in Parsippany, New Jersey till I was about 9 years old. That being said, I've been down in Georgia. People say I have an accent. I don't think I do, but I've been in Georgia now since I was 9. So Georgia's home, but I have a lot of family in New Jersey. So shout out to all my family in New Jersey.
Nice. I'm from the East Coast as well. So that's
okay.
Awesome. I will tell you, I will be able to discern whether you have an accent or not.
Yeah.
So very interesting. Like I said before, it's just inspiring to me, to talk with clinicians who kind of branch out and then create something to help other clinicians like yourself. So let's start. How first of all, how did you get into this field in the first place? Social work.
Sure. So I've always known I've wanted to be a social worker. So it's in my high school yearbook. Sometimes they interview people and it's like, what do you want to be? I knew I wanted to be a social worker. So got my undergrad in psychology, went on to get my MSW. And initially for the first 8 years or so, I did medical social work. So I did home health, hospice, and dialysis social work. So I would say what I would call very in the trench social work in some very underserved areas of Atlanta, working with people as they were dying, working with my patients and their families and getting them resources. And I learned so much from my patients that I carry with me to today. It inspires me really in all I do. So I did that for about 8 years. And then segued to working with elder law attorneys. And I was actually one of the first social workers in Atlanta to work with an elder law attorney. Not sure if you've ever heard about this, but this is a common trend now. Social workers work with elder law attorneys to help with resources, to be a community educator. And so I did that about 20 years ago. And as I was working with the elder law attorneys, I was keeping up my own CEs. And many of us know the stigma CEs have. What do you think of when you hear CEs, right? You usually think, boring, expensive.
Right.
Well, I was sitting in a very boring, expensive CE, probably now over 20 years ago. And I was like, there just has to be a better way to do this. And I had a light bulb go off in my head because I was like, well, my attorneys are great speakers that I work with, and they actually speak about things that a lot of these clinicians need to know about on a day-to-day basis, like long-range care planning with senior clients, what to do when someone's dying and what to do when someone has died, and all these sort of things. And at the time, being a community educator for the elder law attorneys, I wanted to be in front of social workers, case managers, and other mental health professionals. So started doing CEs about 20 years ago now. And people would come up to me and say, your CE topics are so good and different, but why are you only doing elder law? And that's how CEU Creations was born. And so it's very mission driven. So we have 2 main missions. We have a mission of affordability, because we know that helping professionals are not millionaires. And some of these CEs are just exorbitantly priced and these folks can't afford it. So my mission has always been affordability. And the way I do that is I work with sponsors who want to be in front of helping professionals, helps me bring my costs down. And it's a win-win because also the helping professionals learn about resources they need to know about. And then secondly is hashtag no more boring CEs. And we know that they have the stigma of being boring. We've done things like musicals, plays, combining those with evidence-based practice. But when you focus on emotional aspects of things and really tell people's story or hit to the heart of things, and again, we're still bringing in that expert, we're still doing the evidence-based piece, but people learn. I can get people off their phones for a little while and pay attention, and they come to our CEs and it becomes like a community of support. And it's just really, really moved me. Wow. So, before the pandemic, we were mostly in person because of the rules around CEs. I don't know how familiar you are, but back in the day, before 2020, a lot of CEs had to be in person. That changed overnight with the pandemic. Now, what we're doing, a live stream Zoom counts as a in-person used to count. So when you're live with the presenter and you can interact, that counts across most states now, like an in-person used to count. So for us, the pandemic opened up kind of the nation for us. And so now we have speakers from across the nation. Our reach is national. And I'm happy to announce that late last year, so in December of last year, we were acquired by Level Education Group, which owns CE for Less. It's a parent company of CE for Less.
Sponsor of this podcast. Yep. Amazing
and
sponsor of this podcast.
Also earned their CE for Less. Yep. So we are a sister company for CE for Less. And the way we came together is like two pieces of a puzzle is kind of how I describe it. CE for Less, they have about 260 text-based courses that are, so it's kind of like you read something, you take a test, and that's how CE for Less works. Our sweet spot at CEU Creations is more the live stream, because there's a live requirement with about half the states. And some people prefer live, some people prefer, it's just a preference. So we have live stream, and then we take those live stream and we make them into video on demand. And we have about, 80 something hours of video on demand, or 80 something courses of video on demand. Plus we do at least 4 full day events per month, and sometimes shorter ones. We're doing tons of live stream events. Wow. So between our companies like this, we say we kind of cover the gamut, whatever people want to go to. If they want text-based, we've got CE for Less with the text-based, and then we've got the live and the video on demand. And so it's really exciting for us.
Okay. Now, I want to go back for a second because I'm very intrigued. You said, like from the get-go, you wanted to be a social worker.
Yep.
Why a social worker? Why not like a therapist or a psychologist? Why social worker?
I felt like, and it's kind of worked out this way, and I've never really thought about this until you just asked me this question, but I really felt like as a social worker, I did a lot of interviewing. I interviewed different professionals and just talked to different people, a lot of informational interviews, because I wasn't 100% sure. Did I want to do therapy? Did I want to do, more medical social work? Did I want to do school social work? Kind of knew, I thought I wanted to work with the aging population initially, but I wasn't 100% sure. And so I think I felt like the social work degree was the most versatile. So it gave me that opportunity to change. And so now I was just talking to somebody the other day. He was like, well, do you still do social work? And I'm like, I do, but I would say it's macro social work where I'm helping and putting together my favorite part of what I do besides leading my awesome team. But I just love creating these cool, different CE experience. I like to call them experiences. Like I said, where I can make it fun for the learner, draw them into an experience, and they can walk away with tools that they can use every day in their practices. And they leave saying, thank you so much. You've made my job easier. This is the best CE I've ever been to. That's what fuels us. So I think the social work is more the versatility of the degree had drawn me to it, and it's kind of worked out for me.
So let's go back to that moment where you were in that CE conference room or whatever it was, and you're like twiddling your thumbs.
Yep.
And the light bulb went off.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking at that time? Like, I want to make this better. I can do this better. Take us there.
Yeah. So I was in downtown Atlanta. We had like an hour to go somewhere for lunch. And if we were late, you got docked because it was, and try to go somewhere in downtown Atlanta over lunch and get there, and I was like, I kept thinking there just has to be a better way to do this where we could have lunch, and I'm just a thinker. And so how can I do this better? How can I do it better? If I brought in sponsors, I could provide lunch and people wouldn't need to leave, and I could bring down the prices of my events. And so that just really, really, really got me thinking that day that, yeah, I felt like I could do it better. And getting that thought process going, getting the brainstorming going, I think that's just the way my mind works, and working on how can I do this better so that it can be a great experience. Because you have to think about a lot of these clinicians, when they're coming to these CEs, it's a day off, or sometimes their company isn't even paying for them to take that day off, but they're coming. So I want it to be a fun, engaging experience that they walk away with something. I don't want it to be a miserable day off. So I was thinking of all of these things as I was trying to kind of come up with something.
Okay, so what do you do? What were some of the first moves you made? How did you operationalize this? How did you make this a reality?
So at the time, I was also working, like I said, with the elder law attorneys, and I was pretty connected with some sponsors. And so started also building those networking connections. I think that's a really big thing is I'm always networking. I'm always building relationships and building connections so that, the business can grow. We can do the different things we want to do and things like that. So I started working with sponsors, and then also just started trying to think outside the box. How could I do a topic? So here's an example. I had, because I was kind of in that geriatric space, I had a social worker come up to me once and say, Anne, if I hear another CE on dementia, I'm going to lose my own mind. Now,
Right.
Does that mean I don't do CEs on dementia? No, but it means I'm going to do them differently. So for example, and I love this because I keep in touch with Carolyn to this day. She actually just did another play reading for me, but got in touch with an Atlanta actress who is very, very well known here in Atlanta. She was caring for her mom with dementia. And she actually always wanted to write something on dementia, but never kind of knew how to do that, knew the way to go or how she wanted to do that. So I'm like, let's go to lunch. Let's brainstorm. So we went to lunch and we brainstormed. And from a social work perspective, I was like, here's what I would love to see in a play about dementia. She wrote a 20-minute play that we've used in CEs that gives the perspective of, and she's the only actor in it, her as a young girl caring for her grandmother with dementia, her growing up caring for her mother with dementia. She showcases the feelings a person with dementia might have, being scared. She showcases what a caregiver might have, what a child. It is the most, it gives me chills when I'm talking to you about it. And then we follow that up with expert evidence-based discussion around the topic of dementia and different things. So that's kind of an example of that showcases.
Wow. So completely engaging the audience, which I love.
Because they're drawn into that play or that musical or whatever it is, and then they want to know more. So how can we teach them more? So then we bring in the experts who also speak on it. But I would argue that Carolyn, who has cared for people with dementia in her life since she was a child, is an expert on dementia in her own way.
Sure.
But we also bring in the other experts on dementia, the social workers, the case managers, nurses, or what have you, and combine that.
So what I love about this is you coming from this place of wanting to help people, quote unquote. And I know.
Yeah.
That could be a lot of different things, but so inspired and using your creativity to say, okay, how can we make this better? How can we make this different? So here you are creating this company. Well, that's a whole other thing, right? You had to go out and create your own company, but
Correct.
Differentiating it from other companies in the space, making it engaging for the clinicians who are coming, and really engaging people. That's so inspiring. I mean, to me, that's what I tried to do with this. So I find that really inspiring. So were you daunted at all in the sense of, wait a minute, I got to create a company around this? Or you just seemed like you just were off to the races?
I was kind of off to the races. It happened so synergistically. It was like, I mean, I think looking back, it was just meant to happen and it just happened. And, there was a lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears for sure. Like when I first started, it was me doing everything, me doing, all selling of the sponsorships, getting the sponsors, communicating with the sponsors. Because when you have sponsors and the CEs, it does bring a different level because you're dealing with not only with the educational piece of it and putting that together and the experts you need to pull together for that and all the things you need to do for the boards. But as you know, working with sponsors, you're also dealing with different companies and different, keeping your sponsors happy and excited and engaged and wanting to work with you more and more. So from these two angles, yeah, it was a challenge, but I've had wonderful mentors over the years. My dad, I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Selling to the C-Suite, but he's kind of,
Sure,
he's an author. And so he's real big in business leadership, sales kind of thing. So I've learned a lot from him. I have another great mentor, Nan O'Connor, who's here in Atlanta, who's been with me. We were just joking. Gosh, I've probably been working with her now almost 15 years. And she just taught me to be brave, taught me to believe in myself. Because sometimes you don't learn in, mental health professionals, whether you're a counselor or social work in school for that, you don't always learn the business side of things. And sometimes you do
like almost never.
Or you're right,
Right.
And so that I think you need. I think you need a lot of good mentors for that and for people to say, no, you can charge for this. And this is what you should charge. And this is what you should, and you really have to have that belief in yourself that, you can do this. And I think my mentors really helped with that.
So let's kind of shift gears here. And I know you had some bundles, CEs that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So
Let's
that
talk a
goes
little bit
along
about
with our
those.
affordability options. So one of the things that's most important to us as we look at these helping professionals, again, they're not millionaires. They need affordable CEs because and these are a pain point for them. So we have a CE bundle, and it's actually one of our bundles is across both of our companies, CE for Less and CEU Creations. And so basically, what it is they have the choice. They get this all-inclusive bundle. It includes text only with CE for Less. It includes our video on demands, and it includes also the live stream where they can interact. It's called different things in many states. Some states call it, like Georgia calls it synchronous. Some states call it live interactive, but it's a requirement in about half the states. So it includes that piece as well, which is almost unheard of. And it's $249 for 12 months of unlimited of any of these type of CEs.
No.
And they can find more about that. They can go to ceforless.com and look for the bundle that includes the live piece too. So it's like the all-inclusive bundle.
Okay. You mentioned that term synchronous, and that's means live, basically.
So synchronous is, different states use different terms for what live stream means. So live stream can, where you can interact with the presenter, and that is a requirement in about half the states. So some states call it synchronous, some cases call it live interactive, basically where you can interact with the presenter. And that is included in our $249 bundle on CE for Less, where the live is included. That piece, which is usually unheard of, is included.
Yeah. Okay. And this is for, just to be clear for our listeners here, this is for any type of mental health professional, or who is this for specifically?
Yeah. So with CE for Less, and you can go on the website and see there's all different certifications. But I would say that some of the main certifications are social workers, counselors, with CE for Less, psychologists, MFTs, that sort of thing. Okay. CEU Creations has social workers, counselors, case managers, nurses, and then we are pending psychologists as well. We're in the process for that too. So so kind of across the gamut. And then on CE for Less webpage, you'll see more of the like nitty gritty, smaller credentials. If you get state per state, there's so many of them, so yeah.
So kind of as we wind down here, what do you want to say? Who do you hope would come to get these CEs? People who want a different experience, want a more engaged experience? How would you phrase it? What would you say?
Yeah, I think that people who want to have a community. So we always talk about, especially in our live CEs, kind of how our chat just goes crazy, and we kind of create a community. And that's another thing with our bundle on the CEU Creations side, on the live piece and the video on demand. With our bundle, we are also building out a resource page that doesn't only support your educational needs, it supports your professional and personal growth throughout the year. So we have different, we have a newsletter that goes out just to our bundle folks that shares different resources, So I would say anyone looking for a very unique and different CE experience that also builds in a sense of community and, hey, we can do this together. Yeah, try out CE for Less and CEU Creations.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Ferdinand, awesome. So inspiring. My God, I love it.
Thank you so much. Well, I love what you do too. I love how you reach and it's a similar model using the sponsors and things like that. So you speak my language. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, all right. What's the best way for people to learn more about what you're doing?
So, yeah, I think they can go, the biggest thing I like to talk about is that bundle. So I think going to ceforless.com and looking at the bundle that includes the live CE portion is going to be the best way to check out our bundle. They can also check us out at CEU Creations, inc.com if they'd like to as well. But again, for that bundle, I think going to ceforless.com and looking up the all-inclusive bundle with live is the way to go.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Ann, appreciate you. Thanks so much for being here. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Guy.
Bye.